Welcome to summer November. Hope everybody's been outside. Pretty incredible, scary.
Glad I took my window units out of my air conditioning
Yeah,
in my bedroom.
yeah. Pleasure to be here. I'm John. I work for a company called Adform. We have purpose-built ad tech for brands, focusing on dealing with the fragmented identity landscape and helping brands do more with less. Tell me what you do.
So, hi everyone. I'm Wes. I lead digital marketing at Central Garden and Pet, which is one of those phrases that means everything yet nothing at the same time. And so, I would say it's a bit multifaceted. I think one is about educating our leaders and our brand teams on how digital is evolving, because as someone said, the internet changes very quickly. I think the next is understanding sort of organizational design and resourcing. Central Garden and Pet, shockingly, is two divisions. There's a lawn and garden business and there's a pet business. Pets, they're organized by species. So we have, and then basically the company grew up through acquisition. So we bought a equine business that's based in Phoenix. We have a dog business in New Jersey. We have a specialty pet, which are reptiles, fish, small animals, birds in Milwaukee. And it's a very decentralized business. And each of these businesses were acquired over the years and have really kept their entrepreneurial spirit, which is lovely in many respects. And then we have our lawn and our garden business, which similar concept. And so part of what I do as organizational design is what is the role of internal versus external? What is the role of a center of excellence versus BU led? Where do you need to have deep product knowledge? Where do you need to have deep functional capabilities? And then when do you need to have an overlap? And it could be everything from paid media to we've been having a lot of conversations around Saucify and our PIM system. And we're about to add in resources because we almost over corporatized it and almost made it too much at a center team, and we really lost the product knowledge. So, education, organizational design, and then just making sure, with digital. I'm a CPG person. I grew up. I worked at Unilever. I worked at Pernod Ricard. I did consumer products at Weight Watchers. Is a lot of these companies are very black and white matrix. You have your brand teams that do strategy and innovation and activation. You have your sales teams that deliver your GBP. E-com sort of messed things up a little bit because these lines blur a lot, So to me, the role that digital plays, particularly in my organization, is we connect the dots. And we're sort of like the lube that keeps the machine going because we know, like, you can make an argument like the traditional funnel is sort of out the window. And when someone is searching and they're searching on Amazon and then they're looking at a PDP, but then they're going to a brick and mortar to buy it. In our garden business, 95% of sales are still done in brick and mortar. Does that mean we should not invest in Amazon? Hell no. And I talk to, it's a lot of sorry old white guys in the garden industry. I'm like, think of Amazon as a marketing channel. And think of content creation like, your organic social that the 5 employees are going to is not doing anything. But if you take that content and you put it on your Amazon PDPs and you get the ratings and the reviews and you get that credibility, then when someone goes to Home Depot on Saturday to start their lawn project, we're going to have planted that seed. So part of it's going at the pace where Central can handle it, and making it digestible and democratizing the knowledge, but making sure, you're trying to change at the pace that e-commerce and digital is changing at and doing it in a way that's right for our company. So I'd say it's like a little bit of like therapist, a little bit of fairy godmother, a little bit of like testing and learning because, we're very special and no other company example can work. So we have to use our brand. So, I think the first panel was talking about like Reddit. What's interesting about our categories, I grew up at Unilever, which was like, if you did not do it at scale, it did not matter. And that was the opposite business model. Here, you have very niche categories. 2% of people in the country own a horse. What's fascinating is you have to register your horse. So I know where those people live. I can geo-target them. They are members of associations. I can buy their email addresses. I can talk to them about my products. I can go to trade shows. I can follow up. And so it's fascinating because it's a teeny tiny business, but people who have a horse spend over $50,000 a year on their horse. And
So that's 6.6 million people in America own a horse.
mm-hmm, in like 15 cities or something. Like it's so, you can laser target them. They tend to own horses for 30 years. So the lifetime value, they're small, but they're mighty. And once they,
The horse.
no, well, the horse and the people that own the horse, the wallet that owns the horse,
Got it.
you know?
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah, go chime in. I could talk all day long,
Yeah,
so
no, that's
just
good.
interrupt me.
Thank you. No, this is helpful. Does your boss care more about the creative or where to put the creative?
I'm going to answer really honestly. They care about neither. They care about the P&L.
So which one do you want them to care more about if you had one to pick?
To me, where the creative goes.
Where and why is that?
Because creative is subjective. And I was always trained this from the beginning. Unless you are the actual consumer, and none of us in this room are normal human beings because of the job that we have. You know, so I remember years ago I worked at Unilever and I worked on the popsicle brand, and everyone had an opinion. And our GM was like, "You're all adults. The target is a 6-year-old kid. Bring them home, ask your kid what they think, and then come back and report back. I don't care what you think because you're not the consumer." So I don't have a fish. I don't have a horse. I definitely don't have a reptile. Maybe the cat business can talk to me because I have a cat, you know, but
What's your cat's name?
Daphne.
Daphne. It's a great cat name. That was amazing. So can we get back to one piece with your background in traditional marketing,
Yeah.
right? Horses have been around a long time, but how you market to them now is going to change. What is happening in the marketing to the media intersection? And is measurement going to bring those two things together, or will they always be siloed? Am I going to be able to measure both where I won't need a marketing team on the creative side and I won't need my media strategy? I'll have mad tech, right? Is that a joke, or is that happening? It's just a matter of time.
I think it's a little bit of both, you know, and what I would suggest is how do we make them work together? You know, it does make me sad. You need to have a human side. You need to have a heart in marketing. You know, you want to, there's an emotional side of, you know, and if people just buy your products because they have to buy your products, then it commoditizes it, you know? Not that I want people to like gush over toilet paper, but, you know, Cottonelle recently, in the past year, they changed it so there's like a little curve at the bottom. Everyone knows it. And it's such a surprise and delight. And so part of marketing, like that's the heart. You know, you want your head and you want your heart to work together. You know, so how do you get the most of it? How do you use measurement and how do you use all of that data to optimize? You know, and I think how do you use measurement and data? You know, you have the emotional side of creative, but then you have the ego side. And so you want to find that line of, you know, how do you create 4 or 5 different creatives and let the data tell you which one's the best one, you know? And so how do you, you know, but you want to have that heart. You want to have that, you know, you want to have the mental side, you want to have the emotional side in it, because I think better creative comes out of that.
So with your background running a business unit where you had to understand the entire business ecosystem as compared to when times you've been in control of media, are you finding that as digital advertising becomes more and more ubiquitous, that we're losing the marketing fundamentals as we move more digital? Or are we
No.
bringing people up?
Yeah, I don't think we're losing the marketing fundamentals. I think the marketing fundamentals to me are always there. It's who's your consumer, what is the insight, why are they buying your products? You know, almost like the brief almost stays the same, but why are you doing, what are you doing, what's better about you, why would someone buy you, what's so great about you? Digital to me is almost like the mode of action of how we deliver that asset, you know? And I can imagine the same conversation happened with print when we or print versus, you know, linear old school TV. It's how do you get it? I think where digital enables you is that ability to target and the ability to, whether it's targeting a person, targeting contextual relevance, targeting time of day. And I think it makes the experience even richer.
So back in the days of linear, when you could get at least a standard measurement of how many people you reached how often, and a digital ecosystem that's broken, right? Because of walled gardens, you can't get your data back. Does that bother you? Ish?
Yes and no. Yes and no. You know, but I felt like sometimes when it came to like TV, it was like reach and frequency. It felt so model oriented. You know, like Unilever used Mindshare, and they were like,
But that reach and
what?
frequency
Yeah.
was tracked down to store traffic, right? So you could find the correlation to some degree.
I mean, back in the day, no, but yeah, now. I mean, we have conversations all of the time with, you know, with the Walmart Connect team, and I think this is a role that I play at my company is you have the Walmart Connect team that sits at Walmart. I've been trying to tell my leadership of I almost wish they didn't call it Walmart Connect and they just called it Connect. I said take the word Walmart out of it and think of it as Meta, think of it as TikTok, think of it as Reddit. It is a media house. And I've been trying to, and I even chatted with the Walmart Connect team and I said, help me help you. I said, I don't care where we put our money. I care that our money goes to places that are going to drive our business. And if you can show me through Connect and Illuminate that you are driving more business, you will get more money. You know? So I said, I'll work with you on it, but let's show a slide of, you know, we have certain brands that have larger budgets. We have certain brands that have smaller budgets. You know, and I said, for brands that have smaller budgets, we should not be doing anything outside of retail media. And help me explain, you know, let's just do a meta ad versus Walmart Connect. You know, we have a specific controls brand. Controls is the nice word for killer because we don't use the word killers. Like fire ants. You name the type of bug, you apparently need a different product to kill it. Talk about marketing. You know, but I've learned this. Fire ants come out in the South in a certain time range, a certain degree range. You know, that is the beauty of digital marketing is you can understand the weather and the location. You can have your asset ready and you can all of a sudden serve up an ad. And I said, help me, let's lay it out together. So the Andro team runs a meta campaign. It's geo-targeted to Georgia. And we do Georgia, we do homeowners, we do, you know, adults 30 to 50. That's how drilled down can we get from like a meta, like Facebook ad manager. Then let's do a side by side if we did that through Walmart Connect. You know, we can still do it. We can actually drill down to Walmart zip codes. We can use your 1P data to target homeowners or people who've bought our product in the past. People, I know you don't love it, but people who bought competitive product in the past. And we can serve them a DSP ad or we can serve them a meta ad side by side. And then, oh, by the way, we reach a tighter target, we get credit with the retailer for spending, and we can track that purchase. So, you know, once again, so it's like, how do we help educate the brand teams? How do we educate the retailers on the role that branding plays? And then how do we help connect those dots? I have no clue if that answered your question or not, but I really like that example.
They're the audience.
Yeah.
It's their question.
Yeah.
Really. I'm just channeling it.
Yeah.
Now I can't hear your question, so I can't think of my next one. You have a question? Oh, is below the line marketing, to your example, it's a great example. Thank you for bringing those two together. So is that piece back to your org chart organizational efforts? Is below the line and above the line, so advertising and in-store coming together? Because you were saying, hey guys, like don't drop the word Walmart. Is that also inevitable? And if so, are we going to see a big shedding of jobs in the retail category because I don't need two people talking to the same advertiser?
I was literally just having this conversation this morning with someone, and I don't think Central is different than many companies. You know, we have the brand teams that are responsible for brand marketing. We have digital managers that are responsible for bringing the brand strategy to life through digital marketing. And then a lot of companies have this back and forth. Where does retail media sit? You know, does it sit with the digital marketers? Does it sit with customer marketing? Does it sit with e-commerce? You know, and so at our company, we're special because we have brand marketing, we have digital marketing. On our pet side, because on pet pure play is really the only sales story in town. Most brick and mortar's declining, and omnichannel is not a big deal. So it's Amazon and Chewy.
Can you say what percentage of your sales are brick and mortar versus online?
On the pet side, I would say about a third of our business is online.
Is that the industry average? Are you better?
I'd say we're slightly better. I think this year will be slightly different. For example, like we have aquatics like reptiles and fish, and we sell majority of our business are in tanks. You can't ship a tank. The way our tanks are, you can't ship them, so you have to go brick and mortar. But you look at you see like Petco and PetSmart in the news. So it's the channel is there's channel shifting. So we focus a lot on pure play e-com and pet is our number one priority because we know that's where our consumer is. So we have a dedicated retail media team to really understand those two channels, and then they sit within the business unit. So once again, it's not ideal because, in an office, you will have a retail media manager, a digital manager, and a brand manager, and hopefully they're all talking and communicating. And, like every company, some brands do it, some businesses do it really well, some businesses not. And then how do we share those best practices? On the garden side, it's a little bit wonky because it's still brick and mortar, and we have the big three, Walmart, Depot, and Lowe's. So sitting within the sales team, we have someone who's focused on, we just started doing this a year and a half ago, we have an e-com BDM role. And they are responsible for delivering the .com of Lowe's.com, Depot.com, Walmart.com. And then they execute retail media at their retailer. They make sure the digital shelf is working, et cetera, et cetera. And then we have almost like a retail media coordinator across them that shares best practice, that does budgets, and et cetera, et cetera. So that seems to be okay for now, but it's very decentralized, and we need to be better about sharing best practices.
So how many different metrics would you say that you have to deal with on a regular basis, right? You eventually have sales, but then how do you translate all of, do impressions eventually get to sales, or you just leave those out? Is it clicks and they get to, what? Yeah. And then you have all these, what's the taxonomy of what you have to buy media at to what you actually track?
Yeah, and I would say I think it varies. If it's more upper funnel digital, then it definitely is, impressions, CPMs, engagement rate. And I try to make sure that we're not scope creeping, because how many of us have been asked to do an awareness campaign and it's like, what's the conversion rate? I won't even allow that to be a KPI, because you can't. We're doing it we just recently did this on our horse brand. The marketing job to be done for the horse brand is to build brand love with the younger horse owner. They know it's actually an interesting business challenge. They know the brand because it's the number one horse care brand. They know it works really well and it's high quality, but they feel like it's their mother's brand. So it's like the best marketing challenge, because you don't have to deal with any quality issues or efficacy issues, but you have to resonate. So we partnered with a country music trio. It's a sister group. They're up and coming, and they grew up on a ranch and they love horses. And so it's really about, we want, and it was really heavy on TikTok, really heavy on Instagram, but then we also right-sized the assets, and it was a little bit less about the Castellos and more about the horses when we did our Facebook ads, because that's where the traditional, we talk about in the prior panel, get new users, but don't alienate your core, and so how do you do that through channel selection and through asset creation, through sort of editing your assets. But we had sort of a big tentpole around partnering with them and doing music videos with them about their love for horses. There were no sales targets for that, because that was really about impressions. It was really about, we did a pre and post equity survey, but it really was like what I say to my leadership. It was fluff. It's the feel good marketing. You cannot expect sales from it, but what I can expect, and I said in year one, you expect nothing from it because you have to invest. If in 2 years our pre and post equity survey doesn't show some movement on some attributes, then that's a problem. Once again, because you are so laser targeting that you can literally talk to people with digital who own a horse who saw the ad multiple times. And if it's not working, then you have to make an assessment of what else can we do. But then what is the sales arm to this program? Sweepstakes to do tickets. Some of it's like old school, sweepstakes to get tickets, or maybe leveraging some of the videos on Amazon ads. So it's like, how do you right size the thematic of the platform to have upper funnel marketing, but then how do you make sure you potentially could use some assets for conversion. And then, yeah, for the Amazon ads, we did look at, conversion rates.
So there's a marketing theory out there that if you're number 2 in the market, you get the benefits of number 1's media spend, so you ride in their tailwind. You can't weather the storm as well when in down economy, but you also weather the upstorm without spending as much.
Let them do the work.
Yeah, exactly. And you mentioned that some of your growth has been through investment. Can you influence investment strategy through that type of marketing tactic by saying, look, we should be looking at number 2s in the market because I don't need to spend as much money because of this theory? Does that come about in when you guys think of growth?
I would say on the garden side, yes. Because we have a brand called Pennington, which has grass seeds, it has garden stuff, it has wild bird seed. For anyone who's heard of, it's hard because we're in the city, but like Scott's Miracle Grow, they're like the mama behemoth, And so once again, like I just had a conversation with our Amazon ads team. They're trying to pitch us on video, and they were showing us this whole Scott's campaign. And I was like, I love you ladies, and I want to partner with you. I said, but you cannot show this to the brand team. I'm like, they have an $85 million media budget. I'm like, we have 5, So, but what we do is we look at it from an innovation standpoint. Our goal is to be a fast follower. So I was on a conversation this morning with customer marketing for Walmart, and it's what are some of the things that are doing well, and then what is our version of it, but we have to make sure it's not just a me too. Like, why would Walmart want to sell it, and why would the consumer want to buy it? But we do leverage let that rising tide lift our boat, and then what is our role in that, and then how do we make sure we're driving the category, and how do we make sure we're distinctive to the competition?
Does anybody have any questions? Or do you want a second to think about them? Okay, I'll give you a second. Do you have any questions for me?
What's the most exciting thing you've worked on in the past 2 weeks?
I showed a brand that for every $1 million they spend with their DSP, 400,000 of it goes to wasted frequency. Because in the bid stream, the signal of the IDs don't come across to the extent that people think. So there's a big disconnect out there that people's match rate, they think when I do my match rate with LiveRamp, is equal to their reach rate. And it's not true. It's a massive, massive delta. And that's a problem. And so there's a ton of money to be saved on the programmatic side just by understanding that delta between match rate and reach rate.
Fascinating.
Did anybody think of a question? Are you shooing us off? I mean, or do you have a question? Okay.
No.
Please, tell me.
I think we're at. Thank you so much. I think it is a great example of thank goodness that you're in the digital role, and thank goodness for digital, because you can actually, I think your story about how to leverage what digital marketing, digital data-driven marketing can do when you have niche audiences. Because so much of us, we have smaller brands, we have smaller audiences. Sometimes we want to grow audiences. It's a really great lesson in using the power of those things for good and not just spraying and praying and spreading, following people around the internet in less than purposeful ways. And I have to say, who's with me on the fact that I think John could host a podcast on transcendental marketing? Like, you have the calmest. You are like the personal embodiment of the app, the Calm app. Yeah. Are you with me? Right? Who thinks it? Yeah. Thank you. I know, totally. But thank you so much. Really terrific. Great experiences. Great advice.